the Church of Jesus Christ.
The forces of the culture work to exert great pressure upon the Church of Jesus Christ. In many cases, those pressures result in churches and denominations compromising the truth in order to seem more relevant and contemporary. It leads to putting aside difficult truths and shaping the faith to fit current conceptions of science and morality. And in cases where churches and denominations stick to the truth, it often leads to the departure of those who are, in the words of Paul, in love with this present world. Maybe you've heard of the rise of so-called Exvangelicals. Exvangelicals are those who were once in evangelical churches, but have walked away and deconstructed whatever faith they had. They've developed a virtual cottage industry of books and articles, interviews and tweets about how badly damaged they feel from growing up in a Bible-believing church. But when you dig down a little bit, you find that a common thread emerges from just below the surface of most of these stories. That thread is a rejection of God's standards for marriage, gender, and sexuality, which are replaced with the culture's views of those things. In these ex-evangelical list of complaints, teachings on purity, modesty, and biblical gender roles are painted as products of the handmaiden's tale and an eager, liberal audience that's never met an actual Christian laps it up. But in the words of the Apostle John, they went out from us, but they were not of us. For if they had been of us, they would have continued with us. But they went out, that it might become plain that they are all not of us. And this is exactly the danger of relying on our own intuitions and the cultural winds to guide us. The Christian faith has always been out of step with the surrounding culture. How could it not be? God's will is expressed in His commands, and the unbeliever doesn't pay any heed to His voice. When we put our emotions up front and let ourselves be guided by what feels right, we quickly fall in step with the culture and become like unbelievers, because it's easier to not stand in opposition to the world. It feels good to be liked and popular, and to be complimented as being open-minded and progressive. But our feelings are not reliable guides to reality. God is the one who created the world and us, and He's the one who defines reality. God's design is still true, and it's still best, and He hasn't given it to us in order to crush our joy, but for our greatest satisfaction and flourishing. The problem is not with God's design, it's with our sin. Heaven forbid we obey our sin rather than the very Word of God.